Good afternoon. My name is Richard Cochran, and this is my English final. I chose option number two, in which I had to choose a country and talk about its culture and how its poems influence other countries around it. So, to put this into perspective, Switzerland is a very small country in the middle of Europe. And to truly think about it, is that there are three national languages in Switzerland: German, French, and Italian. And so we can see that this country is very diverse in the people that live in it. And so, because of this, many people struggled in the start of poetry to get their name out, to get paid, to get their works out to the public because they wouldn't be targeting the right audience. They'd be targeting other people that didn't necessarily understand what was being said. And so many of these artists unfortunately went to other countries to go on, move on to their career and do better things. And so because of this, there are only a couple of poets or people that wrote poetry that were able to become successful. And one of those people was Carl Spittler, who wrote an older poem and is named Butterfly. And this poem mainly talks about the nature and the beauty of Switzerland. And so one of the quotes that I have found says, "I watch proud Amazon below the grove, on the valley road, on horses bold, who trot along the river, blue and fragrant May." And so you could just see, you could imagine it in your head, how beautiful this country is and how much mountain there is and how much land there is for horses and for people to enjoy. Just seeing a stream go by and seeing a river go right underneath and everything like it's truly easy to see these things. And so this is just one of the examples, one of the poems that I had read that talks about the nature in Switzerland. And there are many more poems that talk about this. And in addition to that, you may think that because Switzerland has many guns, like have the most guns in the world, you would think that they're kind of a violent country. But they aren't. That's one thing about them. They are not a violent country. They understand each other in a different aspect than every other country. They are very humble and they are very kind of quiet about what they do and what they see, and they don't want to cause trouble, so their crime rates are actually really low. And so that just talks about their culture. They're really nice people and they're really outgoing. And so with that being said, we go into World War One, in which this is a war between Germany and I believe it was the USSR. Don't quote me on that. But there was a movement in which people in Switzerland actually started. And this was Dada, in which this was a movement in which people created images that would upend bourgeois and generate hard to answer questions for society. So these people would be drawing pictures of companies or of just random things with a message with it. Whenever you figure it out, you decode the message, you see that in this painting that there's actually a hidden meaning. And so initially this actually went out to many other countries and states. In the United States, actually, in New York, these people influenced these people to use Dada to their own advantage. So although it was misunderstood, told the people in Switzerland wanted to say that the war was stupid and that the war shouldn't be happening. And wow, the U.S. used it. Excuse me, used that as a way to influence people into joining the military or joining the armed forces to to fight for the country. And so, a quote that I have found from Switzerland Culture Smart states that Dada art and literary movement as a protest against the seamless violence of the war. The movement quickly inspired artists in New York, Berlin, and Paris, and is regarded as the catalyst for the emergence of surrealism. And so this is actually one of their main points of how Switzerland influenced the world. Granted, it's not a big idea, but it's big for some other countries. Like, it's a big thing for Switzerland. It's one thing that actually started their capital. It started their capital. It started the build of their capital, and it started the build of the country as a whole. And so, in addition to that, we also go on to what many of these poems talked about. We know that it was about nature, but we also know that it also talks about enlightenment, religion, and otherworldly speculations. In which, on a website of open-ended books, they state that it is true that the conflict in the tradition of Swedish poetry between the practical and mundane on the one hand, and the mystical and rhetorical on the other, is as old as it is real. And it also states that fusion of enlightenment, rationalism, and otherworldly speculation in the religions or religious. This just shows how diverse poetry was. It goes from nature to real world problems to religion, and so we can just see. Excuse me, I'm sorry. We can just see how diverse this country truly is. And so whenever we think about Switzerland, we want to think about how diverse they are and how difficult it was for some poets to succeed in this lifetime, but we also want to reflect on Dada, which was one of the main ideas that had sparked the capital of Switzerland, but also started a whole world different point of view of people creating art and using it in a different kind of metaphorical way. And so, although this is just one of... I'm going to cut that, but...